So one of the number one questions we get is, tell us your story. How did you guys begin? What's the whole deal? So we thought my husband John and I would sit down and share with you our story from the get-go. John's from Evanston, Illinois.
I went to Boston College and got a degree in studio art. And
I grew up on a little farm in Wisconsin, in the country. And I don't have a degree in, I have a degree in life. No, I don't have any formal beyond high school education. But I graduated from high school and then moved to France for a few years and then met John.
Yeah. Our story, how we met, back when I had more up here and less down here, I was a model in Chicago. And a friend of mine, a photographer in Chicago with whom I worked a lot, knew I was single and knew of this gal. He didn't tell me this, of course, but set us up on a kind of a blind photo shoot without telling either of us that we were going to be working together. And we were getting along really well. I mean, it was a nice conversation. Tracy was this nice girl.
He sprung it on me.
We met June 4th, and we had our first date June 6th. Yeah, we moved in together in October, and
well, the great thing about that, John had this really cool building in this really neat area in Chicago, Bucktown, and that's where a lot of our business ideas actually began.
Yeah.
Because there was this really cool basement. I had a project going in every corner. I was using the acetylene torch in one corner, and then I was sewing in another corner. I was making jewelry in another corner, painting in another corner, and that was sort of our tip-off, of course, that, we needed to do something with this. And, neither one of us wanted to model for much longer. It just was, it wasn't that fulfilling, and it was a great way to see the world. There's no doubt. It was wonderful. But then, we bounced around the idea of, various different businesses, and then we... John's mom actually invited us to her home to, have this party. And
she said, I'm going to invite a bunch of my friends over and you make a bunch of stuff and we'll sell it. We said, all right.
And that went over really well. I mean, it was hand-painted scarves and bird houses and ornaments and trays and all this stuff.
Very one of a kind.
That I had hand-painted. It was very one of a kind. Little beautiful purses and things, and then everything sold instantly. And that was about the time we had just gotten married. We decided we wanted to move from the city to Wisconsin, and we were
all together
broke.
Totally
we did not have a dime. We were broke.
Actually, negative dimes.
Yeah.
We had lots of negative dimes.
That's when we kind of started our mantras, along the lines of, start small, little steps, and all those little things became kind of these, you guys always hear us say all these things like, embrace the sweetness of life, or, see beauty in the little things. That's really where a lot of that stuff began, because, for us it was, we really didn't have anything to lose at that point. It was just the two of us and a dream.
But we said, at the time we sold all this stuff at this party, we said, wow, this is great, this is amazing. And she had found out about all these trade shows that we could get into. We took the pictures of the stuff in the basement in Chicago. I remember taking the pictures.
Yeah.
And we sent them off to all these shows.
Got turned down for every one of them.
Every single one said no, except one. And we're like, awesome. So Tracy, being the research person she is, picked up the phone and started talking to the vendors.
Well, I just wanted to know, what would this experience be like? What could we expect from it? I just wanted to talk to anybody who had anything at all to share.
Because we'd never done anything like this at all.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, so she's on the horn and nobody's answering her questions. Nobody's talking. And one guy says, if you do 10,000 at a trade show, that's a good show. And that was all he was going to reveal.
We're like, all right, let's do 10 grand at this show.
We got into this show in New York, and we had no money. So we borrowed some money from Tracy's folks.
We did a business loan.
And we borrowed the van.
We borrowed a van. And a friend gave us a place to stay.
And we drove out to New York. We set up our booth, and the people next to us didn't show up, so we got two booths for the price of one. So it was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
We set up all our stuff. We had everything there, and we said, we're going to do 10 grand at this show because that's what somebody else said. Well, at the end of the day, with all the orders that we took, we hopped back in the van, drove up to Dobbs Ferry, and we were adding it up. In that first day, we did $15,000 in wholesale sales.
Actually, this is kind of how we began. This is one of our trays as to how we began. Everything was beautifully hand-painted. Yeah. The name of our company was Stonehouse Farm Goods. That's how we started. We didn't actually begin our company with Tracy Porter. That came later. But, everything was very, very hand-touched and just gorgeous stuff.
So we took all these orders, and we were, somebody would walk up and say, hey, what's your FOB? And we'd like, I don't know, what's your FOB? I don't know.
It was smoke and mirrors for us at that point. We had no idea what half the people were talking about. We just kept saying, absolutely, yes, we can do it. Because we just figured, you know what, we'll figure out what they're talking about later.
Yeah.
We would do anything to stay in business, to be in business.
And we actually, by the end of 4.5 days, a 4.5-day show, we took home orders over $75,000 in orders, and we had jobs. That was the most important thing. We had a job. And we drive back, and of course now we're like, oh, we got a lot of work to do now.
And it was just the two of us. We didn't have any employees or anything, and we had this wonderful on our farm.
Oh, the chicken coop.
Chicken coop.
And that's where we would set up shop. That's where we set up shop.
There was no heat in the building at all. All my paints were kept under electric blankets.
We had a wood burning stove.
So John would get out there before me and start that thing up, and then I would go out and paint everything, and then John would base coat it, meaning, give the original coat of paint, and then I would go out and do all the hand painting. And then one day, we got a phone call from...
Hi, Stonehouse Farm Goods.
Yeah.
Hi, can I talk to your sales department? Yeah, hang on. This is sales.
He kids you not.
And this gal said, hi, this is Neiman Marcus calling. We saw you at the show. We love your stuff. We'd like to place an order, but we don't want to overwhelm you.
Yeah.
And
I was sitting very close to John because I heard him say, oh, yeah, Neiman Marcus,
we were doing the traditional conference call.
Yeah.
Listening it. And
this is back when, the only piece of equipment you had was a fax machine.
Yeah. And she placed this order, and it was a huge order, and at that point we had to hire people, and we started our business essentially.
Yeah, it was one of those build your wings on the way down, kind of a deals, because John hung up the phone and looked at me and just sort of said, can we do this? And I said, absolutely, we have no choice. We will do this. We will absolutely figure out how to do this. And that too, I think, says a lot about how we build our business, and it's still how we approach business to this day. Yes, we can figure this out. We can do this.
It's how we approach parenting too.
It's how we
Yes, we can figure this out.
Maybe that's why we've been blessed with 4 boys, because yes, we can figure this out. But I mean, you really have to approach life and business and a lot of things in that way, just sort of that. So things present themselves, and you deal with it.
We grabbed a hold of this. We pushed it forward. Like we said, we were broke. We had no money. We had no credit. And
I think all that was really good.
It was all good.
Because I think if we had buckets of money,
it would have changed.
I think it just would have changed how we had done things. We had to bootstrap everything, and so we still tend to be kind of more bootstrappers, which I think is healthy.
Yeah.
And so we started hiring people, and our business grew. And little by little, we started to decide that we wanted to evolve our company, and we never had this vision. I always say this. We never had this vision of a big red ball at the end. It was always about let's enjoy the everyday and the journey of this, and make sure we surround ourselves with really cool people. And so we started to grow our business, and
we got a phone call saying, "Hey, you want to license your designs to this Afghan manufacturing company?" We said, "Sure, let's work out a deal. Let's take opportunity as it comes." So
then we just wanted to start designing everything, dinnerware, books, all kinds of things. And over the years, it's changed. You start designing something and it doesn't always work out. And one of the things that's interesting along the way, I mean, we make really beautiful things, and we try to always create beautiful things and surround ourselves with beauty. But it's easy for people outside of us to go, "Oh, isn't that nice? Perfect world." And you know what? It is definitely not that way. I mean, we're the first ones to tell you guys that perfection kind of doesn't exist. I mean, perfection is a ridiculous thing to try to have. And for us, when you start from nothing and you're constantly building and you're going through the genuflections of growing a company, you realize there's no rule book. I mean, you literally have to figure every single thing out. You have all these failures, and some things you learn how to do along the way. You figure things out. That's the great thing about life and business, is there is no rule book. And we get emails and calls from people all the time. I want to model my business after yours, and I say to them all the time, don't put us on a pedestal of perfection. Believe me, that doesn't exist. What we're doing is the best we can We try to make things beautiful. We care very much about how we do things and what we do, but we are figuring it out every single day. And, we fail as much as we succeed, and that's okay. And one of the greatest things about, and we always say this all the time, one of the greatest things about failure is that's where you really learn. That's when you find, that's when you find out what you're made of and how you can grow and how you can figure things out. When everything's great and beautiful, it's wonderful. We relish those, and it allows us, those ups and downs allow us to appreciate all of it. But we appreciate as much this part down here when you're trying to figure things out as we do the highs, because that's when you really learn. When people give you constructive criticism, you learn from it. It doesn't mean that you have to change who you are or how you do things or turn into something else. We've never believed that. We believe in who we are.
It's the attitude.
Yeah.
It's 100% the attitude. It's not how you deal with success. It's how you deal with failure.
Mm-hmm. And it's always believing in yourself. You've got to believe in yourself. If you're someone who's trying to figure out anything, you have children you're having issues with, or something in your life, or you're starting a business, just believe in what you're doing. Be passionate about it, and that will get you through so much.
Multiple times in our business careers and in our personal lives, we've experienced failure.
Brick walls.
And hit brick walls and skinned our knees and fallen flat. And I believe that's our strongest asset, is that we believe as a couple and as business partners that we can do anything.
We persevere.
We will figure it out.
We'll make it through. That's what we always say. We will make it through. We can make it through this. We can make it through anything. We always say, even if our whole business was taken away from us and everything was, we will make it through. We will figure it out. We will start over. And that's an important piece, I think, to our relationship, like you said, and to our business. And I think that's an important life lesson, and maybe that's why we like to share as much as we do, because I think everybody is dealing with the same kind of stuff that we're in the middle of. So, people always ask the question, what's next? What else are you going to do? And one of the things that
I'm going to have another cocktail.
Right, well, maybe I am too. But one of the things we've always talked about and believe in, because we have a message that we want to share that is uplifting and about believing in yourself and persevering, is, we would love to reach a wider audience. We definitely believe that there's television in our future, and it makes sense. It's why we do all our videos and things like that, because we love, it is absolutely the coolest thing to know that you can inspire people and that you can help them achieve what they want to achieve. That's more inspiring really than a lot of what we do, is knowing that someone else is able to take your message and turn it into something that helps them. It's a very powerful thing. It's a really, really special thing. So we definitely believe that, multimedia is a piece of our future, and that's why we do books. We're definitely coming out with more books.
It's about doing something, about acting, about knowing looking at your dreams, listening to your dreams.
Little steps.
Yeah, and going after them little by little.
Little tiny steps toward anything.
And we're lucky to have found each other as a couple with a similar focus and a similar energy to be able to go after that. But it's not brain surgery. Every day we say that. This isn't brain surgery. No. This is doing something every single day to reach your dreams.
Finding something you love. Yeah. So there you go. That's that. Onward.